Alright, listen up. I'm only gonna say this once. Yes, the aunties in a leaf. Texas take everything seriously. They take their kids' education seriously, their weight loss goals seriously, and they especially took keeping their neighborhoods safe seriously. Back then, there was no internet, and overseas phone calls to Dubai were expensive. So there was a great many things left unreported to the dads. To compensate for this lack of communication, my mum and all the aunties dutifully reported everything and anything to each other. They spend several hours a day stretching the extra long coil of their kitchen-s wall-mounted phones as they tended to housework, and the just as important work of informing one another whose husband was laid off and whose contract was renewed, when Fiesta would be getting the next shipment of good mangoes, and where Coke was on sale this week. Most aunties in a leaf didn't work outside the house, but half of the Desi aunties in a leaf ran a side hustle from their home. There were several other aunties running mini catering businesses like my mum. One or two had some kind of jewelry business because their family in India were in the business. You could narrow down which ones likely sold gold or diamonds because they had metal bars on their windows and doors. Of course, not everyone who had caged their houses were brown jewelry dealers. Some were scared white people who hadn't yet moved to Sugarland or Katy. Those were emerging suburbs with fewer crimes and less brown people. A handful of the more self-assured aunties had secured real estate licenses and begun catering to Desi clientele who were also moving to Sugarland or Katy. Then there was an auntie who ran an unlicensed beauty salon in her guest bedroom. Mostly she threaded eyebrows and female mustaches. Bikini waxes weren't a thing, at least officially, because nobody would go to a fellow Desi to get it done. Hell, just shaving your legs was a confession of interest in attracting the opposite sex, which was a super terrible interest to have. Bashram, the aunties would cluck judgmentally at Hindi movie actresses wearing shorts and tube tops. But I heard some dicers living here in a leaf got more than their arms waxed, and I thought how they must be absolutely fearless to be so basharam. I secretly admired the beautician auntie who served the basharam among us. Quietly and without judgment, tending to whatever a woman needed done in order to feel good. I wished my mum was a beautician doing modern American things instead of a cook making Desi food as if we were all still in India. My mum had lugged 2 oversized overweight bags stuffed with jumbo stainless steel pots and masala from India in order to authentically cook nosta snacks and typical Guju food like dal and tomato batata shock for people's parties. Before going to India to visit her parents, she had fresh red chilies, ajwain cinnamon, cardamom, black pepper, and other seeds and pods delivered to my grandparents' rooftop back in Valsad so they could roast under the sun for a week. When she arrived, she called 3 women over for 2 days to grind all the masala using a giant stone mortar and pestle. She sat up there on the baking hot rooftop to supervise them, nitpicking about every little thing. Back in Houston, she exhibited a stealthy fear of authority figures, and a lot of people fell under this category. White people in general, police and security guards, teachers, doctors, receptionists, and grocery store clerks were seen as people to be obeyed. But for her masala, she scaled her wall of fear and straight up lied to the US customs officer and said we didn't have any uncooked agricultural products in our luggage. I wasn't sure if the spices counted, but I knew for sure the plant roots of half a dozen desi. Veggies we had wrapped with some good desi soil intact was definitely uncooked. So I had tugged at her, sorry to remind her about that. To which she responded by stomping on my foot.